Janelle Brown has finally had enough. After years of playing nice, after countless months of waiting patiently for Kody to do the right thing, the gloves are coming off. Sources close to the situation reveal that Janelle is done with the waiting game, done with the empty promises, and ready to let her attorney handle what Kody refused to do himself. The Coyote Pass property dispute that's been simmering for years is about to explode into a full-blown legal war, and insiders claim this could get ugly fast. For those who've been following the Brown family saga, you know this has been building for a while. Janelle's name sits on just one piece of the Coyote Pass property co-owned with Kody and Meri, while Kody's name remains plastered across all 4 parcels. It's a setup that screams unfair, and word on the street suggests Janelle's legal team is ready to prove it. The woman who spent decades keeping the peace, who worked full-time while raising 6 kids in a plural marriage, who sacrificed her own dreams for the family vision, she's finally saying enough is enough. But here's where it gets really interesting. Rumor has it that Janelle gave Kody a very specific deadline. 6 weeks. 6 weeks to get the property situation sorted out, to communicate like an adult, to show even a shred of integrity. And according to those in the know, that deadline came and went with nothing but silence from Kody's end. No communication, no progress, no respect, just the same pattern of avoidance and manipulation that's defined his relationships with his ex-wives since everything fell apart. Now the whispers are getting louder. Palace insiders, well, Brown family insiders anyway, are claiming that Janelle's attorney is preparing to file documents that could force Kody's hand in ways he never saw coming. We're talking about potential property division, forced sales, and financial revelations that might expose years of questionable decisions. The nice girl who always played by the rules, who never wanted to cause drama, who genuinely tried to keep things civil for the sake of the kids, she's about to show everyone what happens when you push a patient woman too far. And the timing couldn't be more explosive. This isn't just about money or land. This is about justice. This is about a woman who gave 30 years of her life to a plural marriage vision that crumbled, only to watch her ex-husband prioritize one wife over everyone else. Sources speculate that Janelle's legal move could unravel a web of financial favoritism that's been hidden for years. The question everyone's asking now is simple. How much did Kody really manipulate the situation to benefit Robyn? And what exactly will Janelle's attorney uncover once they start digging into the details? The storm is here, and it's about to get messy. To understand why Janelle's legal move is so devastating, you have to go back to when Christine left. That's when everything started to unravel in ways that nobody could have predicted. Christine walked away from her plural marriage with a deal that seemed simple on the surface. She got to keep all the proceeds from selling her Flagstaff house, but in exchange, she had to sign over her portion of Coyote Pass. Sounds fair, right? Except here's the kicker. She didn't sign it over to all 4 adults who originally bought the land together. She signed it over exclusively to Kody and Robyn. Let that sink in for a moment. Christine's portion of the property land that was supposed to represent the dream of one big plural family compound went straight into the hands of the man who broke her heart and the wife who seemed to have replaced everyone else in his affections. Janelle and Meri were completely cut out of that transaction. According to reports, they weren't even part of the conversation. It was a private deal between Christine and Kody, and suddenly the property balance shifted dramatically in Robyn's favor. Now fast forward to today. Kody's name remains on all 4 pieces of the Coyote Pass property. Janelle's name sits on one parcel that she technically co-owns with Kody and Meri. But here's what makes this situation so infuriating. The property was supposed to be divided equally among all 4 adults years ago. That was the plan. That was the promise. 4 equal owners, 4 equal stakes, everyone treated fairly even after the marriages fell apart. But it never happened. Priority passes never changed, documents were never filed. Kody just stalled. Insiders claim this wasn't accidental. Word on the street suggests Kody deliberately dragged his feet on the property division because keeping things complicated gave him control. As long as the paperwork stayed messy, as long as nobody's ownership was clearly defined, he held all the power. He could make decisions without consulting anyone. He could prioritize Robyn's interests without accountability. He could avoid the uncomfortable reality that his other wives deserved equal treatment. And Janelle? She waited. She gave him chance after chance to do the right thing. She stayed calm while Christine got her settlement and moved on to a happy new life with David. She kept her composure while watching Kody and Robyn build their dream home on land that was supposed to belong to everyone. She even tried to handle things privately, reaching out through text messages and phone calls, hoping he'd finally step up and communicate like a decent human being. But according to those close to the situation, every attempt was met with silence. Every deadline passed with no action. Every hope for fair treatment got crushed under the weight of Kody's refusal to engage. Sources speculate that Janelle finally realized the truth. He was never going to divide that property fairly. He was never going to treat her with respect. The only language Kody understands anymore is legal pressure, and Janelle's attorney is about to speak it fluently. Behind closed doors, the legal strategy is taking shape, and rumor has it that Janelle's attorney is building a case that could absolutely devastate Kody's position. We're not just talking about a simple property dispute here. Sources close to the situation reveal that the legal team is preparing to argue that Kody engaged in deliberate financial manipulation, using his control over the Coyote Pass property to benefit Robyn while systematically freezing out his other ex-wives. And if that argument holds up in court, the consequences could be staggering. According to reports, the first wave of legal documents could demand an immediate accounting of all property-related expenses, improvements, and financial decisions made since the land was purchased. That means every dollar Kody spent, every choice he made about development or maintenance, every penny that went toward property taxes, all of it becomes subject to scrutiny. Insiders suggest this is exactly what Janelle's team wants. Force transparency. Make Kody show his cards. Prove whether he's been playing fair or stacking the deck in Robyn's favor all along. But the legal pressure doesn't stop there. Word on the street suggests Janelle's attorney is also prepared to file for a partition action. For those who don't speak legal jargon, that's basically a court order forcing the sale of property when co-owners can't agree on how to divide it. And here's why that's absolutely terrifying for Kody. If the court orders Coyote Pass to be sold, his entire plural family compound dream dies immediately. No more grand vision of houses arranged in a cul-de-sac. No more fantasy of bringing everyone back together someday. Just a forced sale, a division of proceeds, and the permanent end of what he spent years trying to build. The buzz in those familiar with the situation is that Kody never saw this coming. He genuinely believed Janelle would keep waiting, keep playing nice, keep giving him more time to figure things out. After all, that's what she'd always done before. She was the stable one, the reasonable one, the wife who never caused drama or made demands. But palace insiders whisper that Janelle's patience had limits, and Kody just kept pushing until he finally hit them. According to those close to Janelle, her attorney came highly recommended. We're talking about someone with experience in complex property disputes, someone who knows how to navigate situations where emotions run high and financial stakes run higher. Sources speculate that the legal team has already spent weeks gathering documentation, reviewing old agreements, and building a timeline of every broken promise and missed deadline. They're not going into this battle unprepared. And here's the part that should really worry Kody. Reports are surfacing that Janelle's legal strategy includes demanding full disclosure of Kody and Robyn's financial situation. Their income, their expenses, their assets, their debts, everything becomes fair game once the lawyers get involved. If Kody's been hiding anything, if there are financial secrets he'd rather keep buried, Janelle's attorney move just put a spotlight directly on them. The discovery process could expose more than just property issues. Christine's departure didn't just break up the family. It set a precedent that's now coming back to haunt everyone involved. When she walked away with her house proceeds and signed that Coyote Pass land over to exclusively Kody and Robyn, she unknowingly created a blueprint for disaster. And insiders claim that Janelle's legal team is ready to argue that this wasn't some innocent oversight. This was the beginning of a calculated pattern designed to consolidate power and property in Robyn's hands while leaving the other wives out in the cold. Think about the timeline here. Christine left first, got her settlement, and suddenly Kody and Robyn owned more of Coyote Pass than anyone else. Then Janelle's relationship with Kody completely deteriorated, but somehow the property never got divided. Then Meri's spiritual marriage ended, yet she remained stuck on one parcel with no clear path forward. According to reports, Janelle's attorney plans to connect these dots in a way that paints a very unflattering picture of how Kody handled his obligations to his ex-wives. Word on the street suggests the legal argument will focus on breach of fiduciary duty. In plural marriage situations, even without legal recognition, there's an expectation of fair dealing among spouses who own property together. Kody had a responsibility to treat everyone equitably, to communicate honestly about financial matters, to ensure that property divisions happened fairly when marriages ended. But sources close to the situation reveal he did none of those things. Instead, he allegedly used confusion and delay tactics to maintain control while systematically favoring Robyn. The Christine precedent becomes even more damaging when you consider what didn't happen afterward. After she left, Kody could have immediately moved to divide the remaining property fairly between himself, Robyn, Janelle, and Meri. He could have communicated clearly about next steps. He could have hired a mediator or proposed a buyout arrangement. But according to those familiar with the situation, he did absolutely nothing. Just silence, just avoidance. just watching the months turn into years while Janelle and Meri remain trapped in property limbo. Rumors suggest Janelle's legal team will argue this wasn't incompetence, this was strategy. By keeping the property situation deliberately murky, Kody maintained leverage over his ex-wives. He could use their co-ownership as a bargaining chip, a way to keep them connected to him whether they wanted to be or not. And meanwhile, Robyn's share of Coyote Pass kept growing without her having to negotiate or compromise with anyone except her husband. But here's where Christine's deal becomes truly explosive in legal terms. Palace insiders whisper that Janelle's attorney might argue the Christine settlement was made under duress or without proper legal representation. If Christine felt pressured to sign away her property rights just to escape the marriage, if she didn't fully understand what she was giving up, if Kody used his position to extract an unfair agreement, that opens up questions about whether any of these property arrangements should be considered valid, and those questions could unravel everything Kody thought he'd secured. The emotional toll this property nightmare has taken on Janelle can't be overstated. For years, she tried to handle things quietly, tried to give Kody the benefit of the doubt, tried to believe that eventually he'd step up and do what was right. But sources close to the situation reveal that watching him continuously prioritize Robyn while ignoring everyone else finally broke something inside her. The woman who prided herself on being logical and unemotional, who always kept her cool during family drama, who never wanted to be the villain in anyone's story, she reached her breaking point. Her friend Jen saw it happening in real time. According to reports from their conversations, Jen practically begged Janelle to stop being so nice, to recognize that Kody's behavior wasn't going to change without serious consequences. Insiders claim Jen even gave her what she called lessons in standing up for herself, coaching her on how to demand what she deserved instead of waiting politely for scraps. And word on the street suggests those conversations planted seeds that finally grew into action. The turning point allegedly came when Janelle realized Kody's silence wasn't accidental. For months, she'd been telling herself that maybe he was busy, maybe he was overwhelmed, maybe he just needed more time to sort through complicated emotions and logistics. But Palace insiders whisper that the reality hit her like a freight train. His refusal to communicate wasn't about being busy or overwhelmed. It was deliberate, it was calculated. It was his way of maintaining control while avoiding accountability for treating her unfairly. Sources speculate that Janelle spent nights lying awake, replaying 30 years of memories and wondering how many other times Kody had used silence as a weapon. How many conversations did he avoid because addressing them meant admitting wrongdoing? How many promises did he break simply by refusing to follow through and hoping everyone would eventually stop asking? The pattern became impossible to ignore once she started looking for it. And then there was the added pain of watching Christine move on. Not that Janelle begrudged her friend happiness. Far from it, but according to those close to the situation, seeing Christine thrive in her new marriage with David, seeing her free from the constant stress of competing for Kody's attention, seeing her finally treated like a priority instead of an afterthought, it highlighted everything Janelle had been missing, everything she'd sacrificed, everything she'd accepted as normal when it was anything but. Reports are surfacing that Janelle's adult children played a role in her decision to fight back legally. Her kids allegedly urged her to stop letting Kody walk all over her, to recognize her own worth, to demand the respect and fair treatment she'd earned through decades of loyalty and hard work. Rumor has it that her daughters in particular pushed hard, telling her they wanted to see her stand up for herself the way they hoped they'd stand up for themselves if they ever faced similar situations. So Janelle made the call, she hired the attorney, she set the wheels in motion for a legal battle that could reshape everything. And insiders claim she's never felt more certain about a decision in her life. Kody's financial situation might be far more precarious than anyone outside the family realizes, and industry insiders suggest that Janelle's legal pressure could expose cracks in a foundation that's already crumbling. For years, Kody presented himself as the patriarch of a thriving plural family, the man with a plan, the visionary who bought land and dreamed big. But word on the street suggests the reality behind closed doors looks very different. And if Janelle's attorney forces full financial disclosure, the truth could be absolutely devastating. Think about what we already know. Kody and Robyn just sold their house and moved into a new home, which sources say came with its own set of financial complications. They've got property taxes on multiple parcels of Coyote Pass land that's sitting undeveloped and generating zero income. They're supporting a household with kids still at home, maintaining a lifestyle that requires constant cash flow, and all of this is happening while Kody's income sources remain mysteriously vague to those watching watching from the outside. According to reports, the financial pressure from Janelle could force Kody into an impossible corner. If the court orders a partition sale of Coyote Pass, he'd have to accept whatever the market offers, even if it's far less than what he thinks the land is worth. And palace insiders whisper that Kody's been holding on to the property partly because he believes its value will skyrocket someday, making everyone wealthy in the process. But forced sales don't wait for someday. They happen now at current market rates, whether you're ready or not. The bigger nightmare for Kody? Losing Coyote Pass entirely means his plural family compound dream dies permanently. No more fantasy of Christine coming back someday and realizing she made a mistake. No more hope of Janelle softening and agreeing to reunite the family. No more possibility of building those houses in a cul-de-sac arrangement where everyone lives close but separate. Just empty land sold to strangers, proceeds divided according to court order, and the final nail in the coffin of everything he spent years trying to create. But sources close to the situation suggest there's an even deeper fear haunting Kody. What if the legal battle reveals that he's been living beyond his means? What if discovery shows that he and Robyn have been making financial decisions that prioritize their comfort while ignoring obligations to the other property owners? Rumor has it that Janelle's attorney could demand an accounting of every penny spent on property taxes, every dollar that should have been shared expenses, every financial choice that left Janelle paying more than her fair share. And here's where it gets really uncomfortable for Kody. Reports are surfacing that his relationship with Robyn could come under intense scrutiny during this legal process. How much influence did she have over property decisions? Did she push him to stall the division because it benefited her? Were financial choices made jointly, or did Kody act alone? The answers to these questions could paint Robyn as either an innocent bystander or an active participant in freezing out the other wives financially. While everyone's focused on Janelle's legal bombshell, there's another person stuck in this property nightmare who rarely gets mentioned: Meri Brown. Her name sits on one parcel of Coyote Pass alongside Kody and Janelle, but palace insiders whisper that she's been completely frozen out of every significant conversation about what happens next. She ended her spiritual marriage to Kody years ago, yet she remains legally and financially tied to land that represents a dream she's no longer part of. And sources suggest that Janelle's attorney move could be the catalyst that finally forces resolution for Meri too, whether anyone intended it or not. According to reports, Meri's position is uniquely vulnerable. She co-owns one piece of property with two people who have their own complicated history and competing interests. Janelle wants fair division and compensation for years of patience. Kody wants to maintain control and avoid accountability. And Meri? Word on the street suggests she just wants out, wants to cut ties completely and move forward with the life she's been building independently. But getting out requires cooperation from Kody, and we all know how well he cooperates when it doesn't benefit him directly. The buzz among those familiar with the situation is that Meri has watched this property drama unfold with growing frustration. She saw Christine negotiate her exit and sign away her land. She watched Janelle wait patiently for years while Kody did nothing. And insiders claim Meri realized that unless someone forced the issue legally, they'd all be stuck in this limbo forever. That's why Janelle's decision to hire an attorney might be the best thing that ever happened for Meri's situation, even if she's not the one driving the legal action. Here's why Janelle's legal strategy could inadvertently benefit Meri. Once attorneys get involved and start demanding property division or partition sales, everyone who co-owns any parcel gets swept into the process. The court doesn't care about plural marriage dynamics or who's still speaking to whom. It cares about legal ownership and fair distribution. So if Janelle's attorney forces transparency and division on the parcels she's involved with, Meri's parcel likely gets included in that resolution too. Suddenly, the pathway to freedom becomes clear. But sources close to the situation reveal there's a darker possibility too. What if the legal battle exposes that Meri's been paying property taxes or expenses on land where Kody should have been contributing equally? What if discovery shows that all three wives were subsidizing Kody and Robyn's lifestyle and property dreams while getting nothing in return? Rumor has it that a full financial accounting could reveal patterns of inequity that go far beyond just the Christine settlement. Palace insiders suggest that Meri's been consulting with her own legal advisors, watching Janelle's moves carefully and preparing to protect her own interests if this situation explodes into full courtroom warfare. The woman who once desperately tried to save her marriage and remain part of the plural family now allegedly just wants her name off those property documents and her financial ties to Kody completely severed. And Janelle's attorney might just make that possible. The buzz in Brown family circles is that Robyn is absolutely panicking behind closed doors, and sources say her anxiety is entirely justified. She benefited more than anyone from the messy property situation, and now that Janelle's attorney attorney is circling, all those benefits could come crashing down around her. Word on the street suggests Robin never expected the other wives to actually fight back legally. She thought they'd eventually accept whatever arrangement Kody decided on, maybe complain privately, but ultimately go along with his decisions. She was wrong, and insiders claim the realization is causing serious tension in her marriage. Think about what Robin stands to lose here. She currently enjoys co-ownership of more Coyote Pass parcels than anyone else, thanks to Christine's departure deal. She lives in a nice house with Kody, presumably making decisions about their shared future without having to consult or compromise with ex-wives who have legitimate claims to property and finances. According to reports, she's built a comfortable life based on the assumption that Kody's other marriages were truly over and their property interests would eventually fade away through inaction and time. But Janelle's legal move just shattered that assumption completely. Palace insiders whisper that Robin has been pressuring Kody relentlessly to settle this situation before it reaches discovery phase, and anyone who understands legal proceedings knows exactly why she'd be desperate to avoid discovery. That's when both sides get to demand documents, financial records, communications, and testimony under oath. That's when every text message about property decisions becomes evidence. That's when every conversation about favoritism or financial priorities gets examined by attorneys and potentially a judge. For someone who allegedly influenced many of Kody's choices regarding the other wives, discovery represents a nightmare scenario. Sources close to the situation reveal that Robin's biggest fear isn't just financial exposure, it's reputational destruction. For years, she's maintained that she never wanted to come between Kody and his other wives, that she supported the plural family vision, that any problems in those relationships had nothing to do with her. But rumor has it that Janelle's legal team could present evidence suggesting otherwise. Text messages where Robin weighed in on property decisions affecting the other wives. Financial records showing she benefited from arrangements that left Janelle and Meri disadvantaged. Communications proving she knew exactly how unfair the situation was, but encouraged Kody to maintain it anyway. According to those familiar with the dynamics, Robin allegedly keeps telling Kody that he needs to offer Janelle a settlement, needs to divide the property quickly and quietly, needs to make this go away before it becomes a public spectacle that damages their reputation even further. But reports suggest Kody is resisting, either because he genuinely believes he's done nothing wrong, or because his ego won't let him admit that Janelle has legitimate grievances worth compensating. The irony? Insiders claim that if Robin had encouraged Kody to divide the property fairly years ago, none of this would be happening. But she allegedly saw the benefit in keeping things complicated and assumed there would never be consequences. Now the consequences are arriving with legal letterhead attached, and sources say she's scrambling to control damage that might already be unstoppable. According to reports, Janelle's decision to unleash her attorney represents something far bigger than a property dispute. This is about principle. This is about dignity. This is about showing her daughters and the world that even after 30 years in a plural marriage that demanded constant sacrifice and compromise, she still knows her worth and refuses to accept less than she deserves. And sources close to Janelle suggest that mindset shift is what makes this legal move truly unstoppable. She's not fighting from a place of anger or revenge. She's fighting from a place of clarity and self-respect, which insiders claim is infinitely more powerful. Word on the street suggests Janelle thought long and hard about what message her actions would send to her children, especially her daughters. She raised them in a plural marriage culture where women were expected to be patient, to share, to put the family vision ahead of personal needs. But palace insiders whisper that watching her own marriages crumble forced Janelle to question whether those values actually served women well or just made them easier to take advantage of. And the answer she arrived at changed everything. Rumors are circulating that Janelle's daughters were instrumental in pushing her toward legal action. They allegedly told her they were proud to see her finally standing up for herself, that they'd been frustrated watching Kody treat her poorly for years, that seeing her fight back taught them more about self-worth than any lecture ever could. Sources speculate these conversations gave Janelle the courage to move forward even when part of her still worried about causing conflict or seeming difficult. But here's what makes Janelle's motivation so powerful from a legal standpoint. Attorneys love clients who are fighting for principle rather than just money. It makes them more sympathetic, more credible, harder to paint as greedy or vindictive. According to those familiar with the case strategy, Janelle's legal team plans to emphasize that she tried everything else first. She waited patiently, she communicated respectfully, she gave Kody multiple chances to do the right thing voluntarily. Only after exhausting every other option did she reluctantly turn to legal action, and even then her goal isn't to destroy Kody financially, it's simply to receive the fair treatment she should have gotten all along. Insiders claim Janelle has been surprisingly calm throughout this process, which apparently unnerves Kody more than if she were angry and emotional. He's used to dealing with wives who cry, who plead, who get upset, and eventually back down. But sources say this new version of Janelle doesn't engage with his manipulation tactics. She doesn't argue or try to convince him he's wrong. She just lets her attorney handle communication and moves forward methodically with legal proceedings. It's a level of detachment that allegedly makes Kody realize he's lost all influence over her. The message Janelle is sending goes beyond just her own situation. Palace insiders whisper that other women in plural marriages are watching closely, seeing what happens when someone finally demands accountability. And that possibility that Janelle's legal stand could inspire others to question unfair arrangements terrifies men like Kody, who benefit from keeping power dynamics unbalanced. This legal bombshell could reshape the entire Brown family dynamic in ways nobody fully anticipated, and the fallout is just beginning. Will Kody finally be forced to treat his ex-wives fairly, to acknowledge that his actions had consequences, to accept accountability for years of favoritism and broken promises, or will this courtroom battle expose even darker secrets about financial manipulation, about the real reasons Christine left so quickly, about how much influence Robyn truly wielded over decisions that affected everyone? Sources say we're about to find out, and the revelations could be absolutely explosive. The ripple effects extend far beyond just property division. Insiders claim this legal action could fundamentally alter how Kody and Robyn operate going forward. If they're forced to sell Coyote Pass, if their finances get exposed through discovery, if patterns of inequitable treatment get documented in legal filings for everyone to see, their carefully constructed narrative about being victims of circumstance falls apart completely. Suddenly, they're not the abandoned spouses trying to hold on to plural marriage values. They're the ones who benefited from a broken system and fought to keep it broken rather than make things right. According to reports, Janelle's attorney move has already changed the power dynamic dramatically. Kody can no longer ignore her calls and pretend the problem will disappear. He can't use silence as a weapon when legal deadlines and court appearances force engagement whether he likes it or not. Word on the street suggests this loss of control is driving him absolutely crazy, which sources say is exactly the point. For too long, Kody set the terms of every interaction with his ex-wives. Now the legal system sets the terms, and he has to show up and participate like everyone else. But perhaps the most significant outcome won't be financial at all. Palace insiders whisper that this legal battle could give Janelle something she's needed for years: validation. Proof that she wasn't crazy for feeling mistreated, that her concerns were legitimate, that the situation really was as unfair as it felt. Sometimes vindication matters more than money, and sources suggest that watching Kody squirm under legal scrutiny might be worth every penny Janelle spends on attorney fees. The question everyone's asking now is whether this will settle quietly or explode into a public spectacle. Rumor has it that Kody wants to keep everything private, wants to negotiate behind closed doors where he can still try to control the narrative, but insiders claim Janelle's attorney is prepared to go all the way to court if necessary, to put everything on the public record, to let the judge decide who's been acting in good faith and who hasn't. That threat alone might be enough to force a fair settlement. One thing seems certain, according to those watching this unfold: the Brown family as America knew it is gone forever. The plural marriage experiment failed. The Coyote Pass dream died. And now comes the painful process of dividing what's left and moving on. Janelle just made sure that process will be fair, even if Kody has to be dragged kicking and screaming toward fairness every step of the way. Drop your thoughts below. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned because the next video is waiting, and you won't believe what's coming next.